In today's world, we are constantly told that there are 1,001 different ways to determine the gender of a human being. And they're all ridiculous. A doctor could tell you. You can decide for yourself. Even looking down to see if you have jumper lumps is not really that definitive because, well, as we know.
Meatloaf has a very nice pair.
And that's why I think if you are trying to determine the gender of a human being, the most definitive thing to do is to bring up the dirtiest word of all: filtration. Because to a man, that is much more than just a filter. That is the roaring engine room beneath SS Shell Dweller. That is the throbbing heartbeat that keeps everything in here alive. Without it, well, this is just a glass box that is slowly plotting its own demise. But more than both of those, that is a power tool. That's right. It isn't all just about drills and saws. Anything that plugs in to a man requires obsession. This is a washing machine. And what I'm going to do now is, well, nothing, because I don't know how it works. But when it came time to buy this, oh yeah, there was obsession. Staying up late, reading reviews from people that I don't know, comparing specifications that I don't understand, just so that we could have the best that I will never use. And aquarium filters are exactly the same. We obsess over every little detail, whether we're going to need it eventually or not, as if somehow that extra 50 litres of turnover an hour is somehow going to turn us into the best African cichlid breeder on the planet and will result in us retiring to Monte Carlo with a Contessa. We will even form brand alliances inside our own brain. I have even seen rainbow fish nerds go toe to toe over which filter brand is better than the other one. But unlike the washing machine, the fridge, or the dishwasher, when a new aquarium filter is released, even if ours works fine, we want it. And that's exactly what happened to me. Now, this filter, less than 48 hours ago, I did not know existed. And it's from a brand called TMC, Tropical Marine Center. Now, if you're a freshwater keeper, they may not be a big deal to you because whilst they do a lot with freshwater, including the best frozen food on the market, in my opinion. If you follow my socials, you know I love TMC, and that's the only frozen food we actually feed. But they're much better known in the marine industry. I can't go into it too much because I'm not affiliated with them in any way, shape, or form, unfortunately. But some of the stuff they do with harvesting, hatching, breeding, and replenishing wild stocks in marine environments is unbelievable. So when I realized that they have an aquarium filter, with the level of dedication they show to other areas, I had to have it. Now, I haven't opened the box. I have no idea what is actually in there other than, well, the pictures. But what we're going to do now is we're going to get it out. We're going to have a look. We're going to have a look through potentially what I think some drawbacks might be. Yeah, we're just going to get into it. So let's have a look. This is the TMC Power Filter 250. Right, so we're going to have a look at this. Oh, if you like the mugs, by the way, they are available from events that we are at. The next one will be Corey Fest in the UK, always in the UK. Yeah, so let's have a look at this. Now, what I really like about this, first of all, is the packaging. There's no flashy stuff with distracting designs on it like some of the Fluvels. This is just very, very straightforward. It shows you how the connections work, shows you what's included, and then the flow. Now, that is very, very important. Anytime you are using an external canister filter, or any filter really, you should understand how the water flows within it. As you can see, this very, very simple. It comes all the way to the bottom and then is drawn out through the top. If you are looking at changing media or modifying it, it's very important to know which way the water flows. Now, to obtain this filter, you can go onto TMC's website. You can try to order it on there, but actually the only option is click and collect. So I know why they're doing that. They're trying to support local stores, brick and mortar. So you go on there, you place your order, you go to your local store and pick it up, I guess in the hope that you will also spend some more money whilst you are there. It also saves them a lot of money on shipping, because if they're going to ship things like the frozen foods that I adore to the dealer anyway, then they can save a carbon footprint and save some money on shipping, which, you know, is good. But when it comes to spares and repairs, I haven't checked if they're on Amazon, but it would be very nice if they are on Amazon. They're available on their website, which means getting spares and repairs is great, but the fact that they're available is great, but how fast you can get your hands on them may not be the best. But anyway, in the box, we've got the unit. Now let's have a look at the unit first. I gotta say, I think this is gorgeous. I think that's much more attractive than the Eheims, which are not particularly ugly. And it is much more attractive than the Fluvels. Again, not particularly ugly, but I think this looks better. We've got in and out, which rotate. And you can see straight away that this is not going to be as easy to disconnect as like the Fluval 07 range, but it is going to be exactly the same as the Eheim Echo Pros, in that there will be two valves to shut off, and then you will twist off the hoses and they will release. Now that is absolutely fine, bearing in mind that this only costs about £85–89. Some compromises are going to have to be made, because if you were to compare this to a Fluval 307, which also does around the 250 litre claimed capacity, the retail on that is about £150. So that is a significant saving if you went for this one. So is it as easy to disconnect? No. But unless you have, say, arthritis or early onset rigor mortis, you're going to be fine. Now, to remove the power head, it's going to be lift up. Yes. Lift up. And so we've got 3 swing locks on there. The power head is chunky. Very lightweight though, but chunky. Okay, so the way that this is going to flow in is it's going to come in through here, drop straight to the bottom, and then it's going to come up through the 3 baskets of media. You see there's a handle to remove the media baskets, but it's underneath that grill. And there is no way to remove that grill. Design flaw. Don't be another C chair. I really want this to be decent. I really do. Yeah, no, it doesn't come off. There is no way to get. So sausage finger in the inlet, and the whole thing comes out. So that handle, which I can't even access, is utterly redundant. No, that's not good. Yeah, because that actually does sort of friction clip in place. So you can't actually access the media basket handle anyway. All right. Now we've got a strainer, and this is on the outlet. Why? I'm not entirely sure. I would imagine that is because they have put that in so that you have the option to either have this fine filter floss, which is a pain to get out because of the handle that you can't use. Or maybe it's just a restraint. Maybe this is a particularly vicious piece of filter floss, and that is just to restrain it. Maybe that's not a carry handle at all. My fault. But yeah, I would definitely recommend using something else in there, because trying to get that out of there is not great. And also, canister filters, the reason we like canister filters is because you don't service them as often as you would an internal, and because it's more hassle than servicing an internal, you don't want to. That's going to clog real quick. Yeah, we don't put that in canister filters. So you would potentially want to get some more media. It doesn't have to be anything special. Alpha grog works fine, and it's dirt cheap. Or just some pea gravel. Pea gravel works fine. It's not as porous as some of the other stuff, but trust me, it works fine. But anyway, onto the baskets. We have 2 clips on either side. Well, 1 on either side, 2 clips just here. And you can see, I mean, this plastic feels okay, but those clips, they have got that really thin, weak hinge point. That's not going to last long. And then that's going to be a pain to get these out. Just be gentle with those, all right? So we've got some ceramic media rings. Yeah, whatever you think about those, whether you need them or not, that's up to you. We all know my opinion on that. Next one is a basket full of carbon. And what I'd imagine is a very generic 35 PPI foam. It's not going to be carbon impregnated. Maybe it is, but it's not likely because we have a bag of carbon. So that's quite nice. You know, glaring design flaw. Disappointed in the way that works. But at the price point, there are going to be compromises. Okay? So what I'm going to do is get this out of the way, and then we'll have a look at the power head. All right, well, hopefully we don't break this. It is very lightweight. Now, I want you to notice that this all curves to this center point. And you will notice, if you have any idea about external canister filters, there is something missing from the top of this that almost all other canister filters have. A priming pump. There isn't one. Nice touch. A priming pump is used to expel air from the system so that it can work properly. This doesn't have one. Bad point? I don't think so. Having a priming pump is more moving parts. It's more parts that need to be made for replacements. It's another failure point. But what they've gone for is a very, very simple design of having the highest point right here. And this serves as your primer. You just unscrew it. And that's a pretty good seal on there. Yeah, I like that. And when you've filled your basket up to about here, you can pop the top on, put it back under your cabinet, get a small jug, and this all slopes in as well. So don't worry about silly spills. If it doesn't quite go in, it's going to drain in. And then you just fill it there. I really rate that. So simple. And I just, yeah. I think that's probably cheaper for them to manufacture. I think it's easier for beginners because how many times have you been late at night and you think, oh, doom scrolled for 4 hours, let's actually have a look at an aquarium group. And there is a newbie on there that can't understand why their Fluval 307 is not working. Or, oh, I can't get the air to stop coming out. There's just bubbles for hours. Yeah, I really, really do rate that. I have no concerns about that being a failure point at all. That the only thing sealing that, it's a very good screw. It's a good screw. The only thing sealing that is a little O-ring, which will be very easily accessible from anywhere. Any hardware store will have that, and it will cost you nothing. So we don't need to worry about servicing that too much. Now, how do we access the impeller? This is always a thing. This might be nice. It's not going to be great and easy to access because this is a sealed unit, and obviously the impeller is down in there somewhere. But just a twist and pull out. That's nice. Oh, I might be eating my words. Yeah, love that. Love that. There is a huge amount of sort of tolerance around the outside, and it is a big aperture. Because one of the worst things about the Fluval 307 is if you need to maintain that, I can't get my fingers in to get it. So I end up having to have, you know, like a bottle brush, has a little wire hook on the end. I have to try and get that down underneath one of these pieces and pull that out. That is really nice and accessible. Yeah, great. I mean, if you've got tiny little fingers, you might be all right with a Fluval. But for your man hands, that was so much easier than what I thought it was going to be. Yeah, I really like that. That's great. Genuinely great. So far, the fact it's really lightweight, I don't like. You know, typical guy thing. It's heavy, it must be good. It's cast iron, it's great. Yeah, but it's meant to be an aeroplane. Yeah, but it's great, it's strong. Yeah, I really like that. Let's have a look at the other box. Now we got a big box of doohickeys. And this might look intimidating to newbies because there is a lot. As suspected, it's very small piping. This might be on the same scale as the Eheim Echo stuff. And look, TMC, they know more than most of us about nitrifying bacteria, your Nitrosomonas, your Nitrosococcus, that sort of stuff. And although there isn't going to be a lot of flow from this, because you can tell by the size of that tubing, that is more than capable of running a 250 litre tank because of the way that bacteria works. It doesn't just live in your filter, regardless of what the the Facebook cichlid people say, it lives on every surface. Okay, so we have a lot of pipe work, which is great. Two separate bits of hose, which is nice. You know, I think Fluval will generally just give you one length, and you have to cut it in the middle. Cool, whatever. We've got some suction cups, and we have a strainer, which is large, which is nice, because that means it's going to clog less. Whether we've got a pre-filter sponge that fits that, though, I don't know. We've got a couple of small sizes. I don't know, but you'd be able to find one. Yeah, there's a lot. There is a lot of doohickeys with this, which means customization should be pretty easy. Wow, that is a big lily pipe. That's your outlet, or one option of an outlet, because there is also a huge spray bar. I mean, that is massive. That's 2 foot of spray bar for this thing. Yeah. Go on, TMC. All right, so we've also got 2 of these, which the exhaust enthusiasts and fluid dynamic enthusiasts amongst you are saying, well, that's not mandrel bent because there's a pinch point here. No, but we'll get over that. And then we have our stand pipes, which are exactly the same, which you will use for inlet and outlet. So your inlet will sit like this and your outlet can sit like that, unless you really, really want a high inlet, and you would have it that way as well. And then this is what we're talking about, sorry, that was probably really noisy, wasn't it? This is what we're talking about with the connections, okay? Let's put this back on, as long as I don't get it around the wrong way. You kind of can't, all right? Don't worry about that. I know Fluval mean you can only put it on one way. This you can only put on one way because this is too large to fit down this inlet hole. So you won't get that wrong. I promise you. Right, now, this is what we're looking at with the connections. So with these connections, you get your hose like this, and this is much like the Eheims, okay? There's no need to remove this piece. You leave that on. You slip this over the end and push it on as hard as you can. Now, it's not hard, but if you do find that very difficult, warm the end up by sitting this in a mug full. I recommend one of the wild shrimp mugs. Mug full of boiling water just for 30 seconds to a minute, and you'll find that it slips on nicely. You then undo this, which moves it towards the hose, and that will clamp it on the barb fitting like that. And that's it. Once you've done that, you won't need to mess around with that again, all right? This is your flow stop. There'll be one of these on each side. As you can see, both of them are exactly the same. So that will be on and flowing, and that position would be off. And what we do is just thread this on here. This is nicer than the Eheim Echo Pro ones because they have these 4 large bits to get your sausage fingers around to help with the arthritis issue. And it just screws on like that. So when it comes to disconnecting to remove the canister for maintenance, your protocol would simply be turn it off and unscrew. No, it is not as quick and it is not as easy as some of the others like the Fluvals. However, with a huge saving, this will be a key part in saving money because this will be available from many manufacturers, right? It's just a generic piece that they can buy from somebody who already makes it. What does that mean? They don't need to design it. They don't need to have molds made and then more manufacturing. So they get to save a lot of money just by using a generic part. Now, like with the Fluval 07s, that piece, the release piece, is specific to them. So they've had to pay a lot of money to get that designed, molds made for it, and a factory to actually produce it. This is on hand all the time. So what do I think so far? I'm disappointed in the basket design. Other than that, I really like it. So far, yeah, I really like it. But what we're going to have to do now is we're going to have to hook it up. Maybe we'll just do a quick sort of like flow test out here, something like that. What do you think? You can't answer. This has already happened. We're going to do that. Well, for those of you that have never watched one of my reviews before, this, for your reference, is my disappointed face. And it's not that it doesn't function. I haven't even turned it on. I haven't even bothered to fill it with water at this point. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure if I'm going to. This is the 5th take of me trying to explain why I'm annoyed at it. And I'm really trying to stay PG, and I was raging in the first 4 because, quite frankly, the issue is not with that. I genuinely believe the actual canister unit is okay. I think it will work very well. My issue is with this, but more with the person who, in their procurement department, selected this and thought, yeah, that'll do. Now, I doubt that anybody actually put this together, because I like to think that if they had, they'd have gone, that's not good enough. Which it isn't. Okay? My honest opinion is this is a disappointment. Whoever said that, yeah, that'll do, has really let down that brand. Now, this is my first product of TMC, which is not food. And based on this level of detail, I would genuinely, seriously second guess buying anything else from them. Straight up. And the reason for that is we have 2 of these standpipes. You look at that closely, that is more than a 180-degree bend. So it is pointing back towards the glass. Okay? And we've got 2 of these 90-degree bends. And if you look closely, they are not 90 degrees. When you put the 2 together, the 2 bad manufacturing processes means your water comes out pointing to the bottom of the tank. Now, if that suits your purpose, cool, go for it. This is for you. However, the options we were given are a lily pipe and this spray bar. Both options want to be near the surface. They are designed for extra surface agitation. You do not want your lily pipe pointing down and 3.5 inches under the waterline. The problem only becomes much, much worse when you attach the spray bar. Yep, you could hold it up with suction cups, but we know suction cups don't last very long, and with extra stress and tension on them, they last even less. But there is, not only is it start 3.5 inches under the waterline, there is about a 3-inch drop from that end to that end. Genuinely, honestly, I am in 2 minds. I've been sitting here for the last hour thinking, do I just send this back because it's not good enough, or do I modify it? Now, I'm all right with modifying stuff. Do I think this deserves to be modified? No, because this should have been avoided. But also, you may not be able, if you've got your early onset rigor mortis or whatever problems with your hands, you might not be able to modify this with a hacksaw. And even if we do, because of the way that it is manufactured, at best, we can take 1/2 inch off this, raising our thing up 1/2 inch. And with this one, it's barely 1/4 inch. We could afford to take off that and still have a snug fit with this. And quite honestly, we're still going to be sitting that much above the rim of a rimless tank. And it's still not going to be really near the surface. So yes, you can modify it. I don't believe you should have to. So yeah, quite honestly, right now, I don't know what to do about it. That is a huge disappointment. It's just poor. That's what it is. It's like, yeah, that'll do, which is kind of disrespectful to every potential customer. Yeah, that'll do. You don't know any better. You know, it's got that kind of feel to it for me. You might think I'm overreacting, just take a hacksaw to it, but you shouldn't have to. It's just not good enough. I don't know. Because I got a funny feeling if I fill it with water, I'm stuck with that. But I suppose if you are willing to modify it, then I should. All right, yeah, we'll fill it. Yeah, come on, I'll fill it. Okay, so we filled it. I'm not putting the media baskets in it. I have not modified it because I am still unsure whether I even want this thing at this point. But I'm going to pop the head on, which is nice and simple. And then it is time to really fill it, which is where we got this little section from. This is your primer. It's instead of your priming button. And it is pretty straightforward. Now, I do like this feature, okay? I really do. It could be an accessibility issue for some people, maybe. Well, it really takes more than you think. Yeah, I'm dripping it everywhere because I'm a fool, but you can see how they've tried to design it so that you don't get water everywhere, so that if you do miss the hole, that it just drains inside. Clearly, I've overfilled that. Okay, now that we've filled it, we obviously have the issue that there is air in all of the pipes. Now, I don't believe for one moment that this is going to be strong enough to completely prime itself. So we might actually have to suck on the pipe to get the siphon going, but we will try it first. It's now plugged in. And yeah, now you wouldn't have these with all the kinks and bends in, because that is a silly idea, but it is, again, because I don't know if I even actually want to keep this yet. So let's just encourage those out, those bubbles out, as if it was. There we go. We're still not drawing very well. I think we've still got too much air in that pipe. Now it's quieting down a bit. The air is expelling out. There's a lot of air coming in, which without the media baskets in, you might be able to see the bubbles tumbling in around there. But it should, hopefully soon, settle out. We won't turn it off. Allow the air on the inlet to all reach the top. But yeah, we might actually have to expel all this air manually, which is obviously a plus side for the filters that do have priming pumps on them, because they would do this for you. Plugging it back in. Just trying to straighten that out. The air is slowly leaving this pipe. Maybe one more off and on. And that might get it. That should be good. We just got to wait for, see, there's no more air coming in through this one. We just got to wait for all this air to come out, which we can speed up if we actually help it along. And we just want all those bubbles to get up to the top. And plug it in one last time. It won't be this difficult if you've cut these to the right length. I mean, ideally what we should be doing between this is removing this and letting it fill. There we go. A little bit more faff than a priming button, maybe. But I think for day-to-day maintenance, much, much easier, because now that that's done, when you switch your locks over and then remove the pipe, you won't actually have to prime it to get it going again. Right, guys, there it is. It is up and running. Yeah, See the lack of surface movement? I mean, there is some, but that is down to this not fit for purpose pipework. It's so bad. It's so annoying that something so simple was just not dealt with. There is kinks in the pipework. Well, not kinks, but there are loops. But there is also no media in there at all, no media baskets. But this is so far underwater. I mean, this water level would normally be an inch higher as well. So I need it sort of there. And at that point, you can see, sorry about the state of this, it is a maintenance day. I'd have to try and put a suction cup on there, but look how much is sticking out. Not only is that aesthetically disgusting, it's just not going to be very secure either with one suction cup on there. Now, if we move it up as far as we can, there is some surface movement, but I'm sure all of you are thinking, I wouldn't run that on a 250 litre tank either. Now, maybe you would, and I'm sure it would do it biologically. It'd be absolutely fine because all a filter really needs to do, excuse the creaky noise, all it needs to do is provide oxygen and some mechanical filtration. Now, I chose a 250 with the intent of if I use it, it will be on a 100 litre aquarium. The reason I did that is because the 9 watts of power and the very small bore internal diameter of the hoses tell you it's not going to be a massive amount of circulation. And it clearly isn't. The Oase internal filter that is in here that is claimed to run only 550 or 650 has huge circulation compared to this. So I'm not sure whether this does. I'm not going to bother trying to test it on what it actually flows. My recommendation would be 100 litre aquarium maximum. And even then, there's not exactly circulation in there. I am a creature that definitely does go for big circulation. I mean, we have a 250 litre aquarium that runs a Fluval FX4. It doesn't matter that it's got zebra plecos in it. It's just for good circulation all the way around the tank. If I can help it, I don't like to add extra air stones or power heads or wave makers, things like that, because that's just extra plugs, extra appliances. And if I could just get that from a filter in the first place, that's just much better. So guys, that's what I've got on the TMC Power Filter 250. Would I recommend it? For a 250 litre tank? No. Unless you are trying to breed something that really needs very little circulation. Maybe you're trying to breed opaline gouramis. Cool, maybe it's for you. As long as you're willing to modify the awful pipework, maybe it'll work for you. Would I recommend it for a 100 litre tank? No. What I would recommend is save up the extra 25 quid and buy a Fluval 107. It disconnects easier, the baskets will come out easier, they won't ever break. Yeah, do that. It's unfortunately another big disappointment. Now I've got to work out whether I actually want to modify it or just send it back, because I don't think, even with all of the species and the different size aquariums that we've got here, whether it's CPDs being bred over there, rocket panchaks, what we got in this one, dusky millions fish, we got all the whiptails here, the zebras, the 236s, the Vulcan cories, the CW2, all of them. I don't think that anything here has a need for that filter. I'm genuinely gutted. If the pipework was better, yeah, maybe I could see it on a 100 litre tank. But the fact that you have to modify it because somebody just hasn't bothered really is annoying me. Yeah, my opinion is buy some else. On that cheery note, I'll see you in the next one. Maybe we'll find something one day that isn't an 07, an FX, or an Echo that I do like.